I think on the one hand, I have this responsibility to tell a story as truthfully as I can. You know, it's so difficult to read about yourself on a printed page. And, you know, I don't feel that it's really my place to get involved in somebody's personal life in a way that deprives them of their privacy.
What do you expose? Who do you expose? What stories do you tell? How much of yourself do you expose is really in memoir is the key question. Do I maintain that? As I said, the book is in first person present tense, so it's a memoir of the present. It's not really, I'm not writing as if it's the distant past that I have now understood. Do I maintain the self that I was then with all of my flaws? Or do I airbrush carefully?
You are two people in your book. You are the writer of the book, and you're probably a very important character in the book. And it is when you learn to make that shift and put your character firmly in your hand on equal footing, and you have your hand of God here, and there are all your little characters there. And it is when you can get that distance between yourself and yourself as a character.
You're trying to distill a lifetime into elements that are meaningful, singular, worthy of sharing, all of those things. And at the same time, you're trying to be candid enough that it's not completely prepared, right? I mean, so that it is an illumination, so that you'll find out things too.
There's a difference between an autobiography and a memoir. I think an autobiography is, I think it was Gore Vidal who made this distinction. He said, an autobiography is what happened to you. And that's fair enough. A memoir is how you remember it.
I could probably call the book I'm working on now a nonfiction novel, although everything that happens in the book is occurred in real life. It's rendered in a language that would be no different than the kind of fiction that I write.
I'm sure different memoirists do it differently, but in my mind, the story still does come first. And perhaps if I were so effing famous that everything I said was important simply because I said it, then maybe I would tell the truth and people would be interested, because this is Scrimger. Good heavens, we have to find out what actually happened to Scrimger in 1974. But I figure most people don't care what happened to Scrimger in 1974. My girlfriend didn't really care what happened to Scrimger in 1974. So that if she doesn't care, then I can do what I want to make a better story about what happened in 1974.
Each individual knows from their own life that when that much time passes after an event, memory shifts it, and each person who is involved in the event remembers what happened differently. That in itself is a kind of fiction. That's the sort of fiction that we live, I think, in a daily way. But we all, as well, take our truth from those events. And so I have taken my particular truth and shaped it.
Writing a memoir is fraught. Especially writing a memoir which includes people who are still living is a dangerous thing to undertake.
The responsibility of telling that truthful tale, of doing justice to it, of your own involvement, all the people you may let down. There's so many personal consequences to nonfiction.
You're writing about yourself and your own life, but you're also writing about the stories of other people. And in a way, I feel as a writer that I need to know when to stop and not to expose them or reveal their stories.
I have a brother who's an author, Will Ferguson, who wrote a book, a memoir about our childhood. And my dad was in it, figured very largely in it. And Ian wrote it after my dad died. I can't speak for my brother, but I suspect that you have to wait he had really had, at some level, he almost had to wait till Dad was gone before he could really write about him openly. And I've written about my dad as well, also after he passed on. He was a great character, but he tended to be wounded easily. So I don't know how he would have taken the portrayal of him.
I think the best memoirs are ones in which the person looks back and makes discoveries about themselves through the writing. That a person is transformed as they walk backwards.
Certainly with the book that I'm writing now, there is a cathartic element. And I think that when we dig into the past and explore our own past, no matter what that is, I mean, catharsis is a Greek word, right? So it's about cleansing. It's about telling the truth in a way. And so no matter what we write, if we're writing honestly about the past, it has to be cathartic.
In Forced Consent, there's a chapter about my father that was very difficult for me to write, and that was very, for a very surprising reason that I didn't get to until many, many revisions. And that, in that particular case, it was that, it wasn't what I expected. What I expected was, I wouldn't want to write about some harrowing details of dysfunction. And what actually the problem was that I was holding back from making him at all understandable. That in my head he was a monster, and I wanted everyone to think he was a monster. And yet, every time I wrote something, in one way or the other, I would make him understandable, or without, not excuse what he would do, but have a reason for it. And that made me very uncomfortable. That made me wonder, am I letting him off easy? Or am I still a little kid who's afraid of getting beat up? So I'm trying to make nice with him before publication, so he doesn't come after me after the. And he's like, now he's 75. It wouldn't be the biggest fight of my life, but you still worry about that kind of thing. So it's more about trying to get, as I was saying earlier, to get closer and closer and closer to that central truth.